So this week's episode, we're going to discuss Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, the big win for Mayweather, and just where things stand after this. I mean, lots of stuff went down on Saturday night. Hung out with the boys about it. Hung out with the boys. We checked it out. Plus Game 7. I'll discuss that with Ravi on the crossover this week. But let's get into Mayweather Pacquiao. My reaction to Mayweather's win. I'll be quite honest with you. I was not surprised. I think I stated it from early. I had Mayweather in 10. That didn't come to fruition, but pretty much he was dominating the fight, which I thought he would be. He was the bigger man, as Ravi had mentioned. Before the fight, hey, he's got the reach, and he's not even a fight fan. And he could see that, clear as day. So I think that played into a lot of the issues that Pacquiao had. He couldn't get on the inside, and when he did, Floyd was able to tie him up. And you know what? Just on a side note with that, I mean, people say Mayweather's hugging left, right, and center. Look, I'm coming from the old school when it comes to the fight game. I mean, these guys nowadays, I include Pacquiao in this sense too, man. No one knows how to fight on the inside, take the body. That's one thing, which Pacquiao hardly ever does. And the second thing is, no one knows how to push off a guy when someone's trying to, when the opponent's trying to clutch him or grab him. Push a man off. You think Marvin Hagler would let that happen? Heck no, that would happen. He would have pushed him off one time and double up on combo quick. And no one works the body anymore in modern day boxing. And I think that the ways you would beat Mayweather is you need someone that's very physical with Mayweather, and therefore will make sure and push off Mayweather himself to make sure that he doesn't just accept the clutch and just wait for the referee to break it up. And one of the other ways I think you would take out Mayweather is that when you get a chance, work inside, work in his body instead of trying to go for the head all the time, because you're not going to be able to hit him and tag him cleanly. Work the body, try to take his legs out, which I don't know why these guys really try to do. Everyone's always headhunting and ends up with an L beside their beside their name when it's all said and done. So I think this match here, it started off early for Mayweather, establishing the straight right. I mean, for going against a southpaw, I mean that's the way you gotta do it in this case. He just came with it. He came with just came straight at it. Made sure he had some pop, some zip. It definitely had Pacquiao kind of back up and concerned about coming in, because Pacquiao in this case is not a great head movement when it comes to head movement. You could get your licks into him, but his whole game is to get more licks on you and just kind of bowl you over with combos and the volume of punches. But I think that that straight a stiff straight right that he was giving Pacquiao all sorts of trouble. It made Pacquiao nervous to throw his left in this case, and it was a fantastic counter to Pacquiao's left. The straight right. I think Mayweather stayed in the middle of the ring, which he had to, I think, for the most part. And even when he got in the corners, I found that after a few rounds, he seemed to be comfortable fighting out of the corner, almost daring Pacquiao to come in to see if he could put damage on him. And you hear all the pundits, my boy Morgan mentioned with his colleague on the Fight Network about how Pacquiao would get Floyd in the corners, and then pretty much Floyd would dip out to his left all the time, and Pacquiao seemed to have no response to that. I would like to know in this case what was Freddie Roach's great game plan that he had going into the fight, because he kept on claiming like, hey, we got these secret weapons that we're going to use against Floyd, that no one's ever done, and we'll have something for him, and this and that, and the next thing. He's talking a great game. He was doing more talking than Mayweather, funny enough. But I didn't see much of anything, and it just led to, it just made me feel even more so what I thought about a year or two ago, that Pacquiao, for the most part, in my mind, is done. I mean, I don't, no shade to you Pacquiao fans, but I mean, it's been about 2 years strong. The last I can remember a really dominant, strong fight from Manny. At this point, you gotta ask yourself, what's in it for him? I know he's trying to get a rematch, and we'll get in that in a second. But overall, the crowd was booing. Of course, you knew the crowd was going to be pro Manny, anti Floyd. Almost every fight, they're anti Floyd. I think Floyd feeds off of it. I'm not sure if you guys out there that don't want to see Mayweather lose, you may want to stop booing because it seems like it just eggs them on and gets them even going. He feeds off the hate. And at this point, just as a wrap a bow up on this part of it, it's obviously undisputed now. He's the best pound for pound fighter of his era. There's no doubt now after beating Pacquiao. You can say, he ran for him for 5 years, whatever the case would be. I said it then offline. I'll say it here online. If they fought 10 times, I think Floyd will beat Pacquiao probably about 8 of those 10 times. And it didn't matter if it happened on Saturday night, 5 years from now, 5 years previously. I think that matchup just does not work for Pacquiao, because in this case, if you can counter well and you can move, you will give Pacquiao trouble. Even if he had more quicker hand speed 5 years ago, Floyd was a quicker boxer back then too, hand speed and foot speed. So, you could say that, but in this case, Floyd would have even been sharper. And I think the same result would happen. Just watching the JMM fights with Pacquiao, with Marquez, who is obviously a great counter puncher in his own right with power. I saw myself those 4 fights is like, well, if he's having this much trouble with him, what's he gonna do when he deals with Mayweather? And Mayweather's defense is way better than Marquez. So, I always felt this, that this was, more to do with just, a lot of showmanship and stuff like that. The fight was always gonna happen. Too much money was gonna get left on the table if it didn't. And, I was proven right in this sense. The fight did happen, and you saw what happened. Pretty much a disaster. I was watching it with the boys. I think the crew was probably, I would say, 7 of us were watching it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of us. I would say there's probably 3 Manny fans in this case, or at least Manny supporters. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 or 5. 5 to 2 probably. So 5 to 2, I think, for Manny supporters, and probably a couple more came in after the Manny supporters. I wouldn't say a Floyd supporter, but I thought Floyd was going to win the fight. As well as another friend of mine, and the matchup, it's not a good matchup for Manny. He's the bigger man, he's the quicker man, and he was the sharper man, and that was the end of that. Now, as for what happened afterwards, I don't know what fight Pacquiao was watching, because as far as I can see, that fight wasn't even close. You can say there are a couple of rounds that might have been close. That if you're being kind and charitable, you could give him a couple extra rounds. My scorecard had it like pretty much 9 rounds to 3. For Mayweather. I think pretty much the judges kind of saw the same thing. At least I saw, and others saw as well too. I mean, if you're being kind, you're gonna be charitable. Maybe you could make it 8-4, 7-5 would be really stretching it. 8-4 is probably, I think, as far as you could take it. And as far as what Manny was saying afterwards of Max Kellerman, I know people were giving Max Kellerman grief. I don't see why. I thought it was very pointed and strong questioning, because when you're going to come out there on national TV and around the world saying you thought you won the fight, you need to explain that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going back old school. You need explaining to do that one, because I don't get how you can sit there for 12 rounds. You're in the ring with the other man. Your trainer, obviously, in this case, in your corner, could tell you in this case, just from the way they're acting and how they're communicating to you, you are not winning the fight. For you to come out there afterwards and say, oh, I thought I won the fight, you're either delusional, just lying through your teeth, or you got concussions. Something's going on there, because there's no way that's possible. So it seems like after the fight, you kind of backtrack a little bit about that. Then they started going about the shoulder issue, whichever shoulder it is, and the injury to the shoulder. The Pacquiao camp were finding all sorts of excuses about what the case was, that he wouldn't come to the fight, he was running, this and that, the next thing, and that the shoulder was hurting him, and that the boxing commission wouldn't give him a shot beforehand. Like, dude, this leads to a whole other point. Like, if you're injured, you got waivers and legal documents in this case stating, beforehand, you're coming into this thing with all the information that we have in this case. Are you saying that you're going to be fine for this fight? If not, please tell us if you are hurt. They checked out the box saying they were fine, that their fighter was fine, which now is looking like there may be legal action, towards Pacquiao, or at least opens them up potentially for legal action to be taken against them. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe there's a possibility of a lawsuit from viewers that say they didn't get their money's worth, false advertising, whatever the case may be. We'll see how that all plays out. But as usual in boxing, even when the decision is clean, we know who the winner was, there's always a little controversy when it's all said and done. Now, a lot of money will make people do that. So we'll see. As far as a rematch goes, I see no reason for a rematch. Of course, Manny wants one. Hey, you got to feed the kids and feed anybody else in this case. Floyd, I see no reason from his end to do it. It makes no sense. He said he's retiring after his next fight. We'll see if that's the case, but I see no reason for a rematch. I'm not even sure if the public's interested in a rematch. And on that note, man, I'll leave it at that. If you know, please tell me what your comments are. You know, give me your comments below. As usual, subscribe to the just subscribe to us above. You know, we'd love to hear your thoughts, man. Anyways, man, that's it for me today. Talk to you next time. Later.